Whether a science fiction fan or not, we're all familiar with depictions of a technology-fueled future where one can capture everything they need to know about a person from a single glance or the scan of a chip. For teachers, this vision is more than a little appealing. Imagine understanding all the ways each of your students could excel or struggle before they even arrive in your classroom. This notion begs the question, what would you do with that information to support your students? The continuing evolution of predictive student analytics edges us closer to that future. Predictive analytics models compile numerous data points about student characteristics and behaviors and help institutions identify who might be at risk of challenges in their academic careers. Indeed, these models are proving to be accurate in their assessment of factors like learning management system activity, previous grades, or financial aid status, which, taken collectively, can help gauge a student's propensity for success. Many institutions use predictive analytics out of administrative necessity. For example, to allow small advising populations to prioritize their support of disproportionately larger student populations. But on a wider scale, institutions look to predictive analytics for solutions to student retention and persistence concerns. Still, while this data offers a sense of why students might not persist in their academic programs, the answer to the question of how to use it remains elusive. In the past decade, studies of the impact of data analytics on student retention initiatives conclude that the infinite differences in student situations and institutional intervention approaches necessitate further research before we can convincingly define a program for using predictive analytics to consistently and successfully push students toward graduation. So, as with any promising leap into the future, confidently using predictive analytics to help students persist in their studies requires imagination, flexibility, patience, and continual work, which UAGC is excited to engage in with you, our faculty. This fourth session in the 2021 Classroom Management Mastery Series digs into signals for faculty, our institution's predictive student analytics tool. While we, of course, will address the logistics of using signals, we follow the series mission of connecting classroom tools to the learning theory and institutional culture that both explain and reinforce their use. In this session, we take as our premise the idea that predictive analytics models are only as useful as the institutional cultures that surround them are actively supportive. And we use Malcolm Knowles' pioneering interpretation of andragogy to help us define key elements of that culture, which will allow us to understand the context around predictive data for adult learners and to use it to help us meet the unique learners at UAGC where they are. The concept of andragogy, or the study of teaching adult learners, acknowledges that there is a necessary difference in how children and adults consume and process information. Malcolm Knowles' famous work defines andragogy via the characteristic backgrounds, needs, and desires of adult learners, and then associates it with practices that educators of adults should adopt to support them. Knowles' theory of andragogy contains 6 principles: need to know or understand why certain knowledge is necessary to one's work, readiness, or knowing the relationship between academic work and real life, problem orientation, or the need to understand how knowledge will help an adult learner solve problems, self-concept, experience, and intrinsic motivation. Let's explore these 3 principles as they pertain to the experience of the UAGC student and inform our interpretation of signals predictive data toward meaningful interactions with them. Self-concept. Adult students already have formed identities of themselves as people and as learners. That identity drives both their understanding of the world writ large and of concepts they're grappling with in class. And it guides the decisions they make in their lives and with their studies. This self-concept stems from the wealth of experiences, whether personal or professional, that have constituted the adult student's life. This experience could impact their studies positively or negatively, either preparing them to address a complicated topic in more detail or potentially hindering them from exploring other perspectives outside their own. Additionally, their current social, economic, and personal life experiences often impact their capacity for academic success. And adult students' experiences, as opposed to finite reasons or rewards in the classroom, motivate them to learn. Because adult learners tend to have a solid self-concept, they are intrinsically driven to grow and achieve. Tapping into their motivations or helping them to define them could be a key to helping them persist in their work. These principles of Knoll's theory of andragogy point to the idea that often adult students' behavior and performance in the classroom have more to do with their own lives than with their faculty, their fellow students, or the classroom expectations or content. Therefore, often they need their academic support system to try to understand these real-life contingencies and to work openly and creatively with them to manage through issues toward classroom success. We encourage you, as you listen to the information to follow, to consider not only this premise, but also how you can connect a bit of signals data, such as a pattern of missing assignments, a long break from class, or a previously unsuccessful grade, to an opportunity to connect personally with an individual student's self-concept, experiences, or motivations. Doing so could help you understand the academic and non-academic supports you can offer, which could be the keys to helping students succeed. Now, Cole McFerrin, Teaching and Learning Innovation Project Manager, and Nikki Perry, Assessment Specialist, will discuss with you the data points that constitute the signals tool, how to filter and manipulate those points to identify specific student scenarios that warrant outreach, and how to view signals as a complement to other classroom data, from Waypoint, for example, that will help you identify student support needs.
Signals is a tool available to faculty in all University of Arizona Global Campus courses. It uses classroom data and other student information to predict students' likeliness to complete a course, and it gives the faculty member an easy way to reach out to offer additional support. After a year of having Signals available in our courses, our faculty have sent more than 200,000 messages to students. Those numbers are impressive, but now that we have been able to work with Signals for a while, it's time that we get more intentional and hone in on specific strategies using the predictive analytics and engagement indicators to create more targeted and meaningful interactions with our students, especially those that might need extra support or encouragement. In this video, I'll be giving you a quick walkthrough of the Signals tool and show you how to quickly and meaningfully reach out to your students when they need you most. Faculty are able to access Signals directly from every UAGC classroom by clicking Signals in the left navigation in Canvas. There, you will be asked to enter your Office 365 password. Once that is entered, you are brought to the dashboard for your course. At the top of the page, you can see the distribution of the various engagement levels, average level of engagement, engagement trend throughout the course, and the 3 students in your course with the lowest levels of engagement. Let's talk just a little bit about the data that goes into determining a student's engagement level. Each student is assigned an engagement numeric score and color level. There are lots of factors that go into determining this engagement score, and the most significant ones will be listed in the far right column of the student engagement table. One nice feature of Signals is that all of the data is updated every single day, so the engagement activity and level you should see will be closely aligning with the classroom activity at all times. The algorithm also takes into account factors outside of and before the class took place. So as soon as your students are loaded into the Signals roster, you can have a good indication of what students might need an extra hand to cross the finish line in your course. At the top of the table here, we can see there are filters available for various factors, and you can also click at the top of any of the fields in the table to sort. This way you can easily sort for students with late or missing assignments, or sort by overall engagement level, for example. Once you determine which students you would like to reach out to, check the boxes up to the left of their name and click the Send Email to Selected button. While it may be tempting to choose all students and send them information you think is important for that week, that type of communication can easily saturate a student's willingness to open messages from you. Instead, consider posting information like that in an announcement and utilize Signals for more targeted interventions. Once the message editor is open, you have the option to send a copy to yourself and also copy in the academic advisor. Please make sure only to copy in the academic advisor on pertinent messages to your student, or when they're in a situation where they could use extra support from an advisor. Basic message editor tools are available along the bottom of the message box, and in the lower left corner is the option to utilize a pre-written template as a starting point. If you choose to use a template from this list, please make sure to customize and personalize it as you see appropriate. Remember to always include a subject line and your name and contact information at the bottom of your message. Once your message is ready, click Send, and it will go directly to the indicated students' email addresses. And that's how easy it is. If you want to take a deeper dive into some of the features available, click on Faculty Resources while in Signals to access a Quick Start Guide, an engagement level FAQ, a recommended usage guide, and a Messaging Students with Signals guide, in addition to information on tutoring and helpful links to provide students and messages. There's also information here if you run into technical issues or if you have ideas to improve Signals. If you're already a Signals user, thank you for taking advantage of this valuable information to get in touch with your students who need it most. If you're just getting started with Signals or we're on the fence about trying it, I hope this quick overview provided helpful information. If you have questions after reviewing these resources, please feel free to reach out to your faculty support and development coach or consultant.
How can Signals interventions improve student learning and assessment? A significant component of assessment is feedback. One of the main objectives of feedback is to guide students on what steps it takes for them to be successful. Letting students know how they can be successful has a significant and positive effect on student learning and taps into several of Knoll's principles of andragogy, like need to know and intrinsic motivation. Signals can be a great resource to reach out to students and provide feedback in tandem with the written feedback you provide them when you grade their learning activities. For example, if you notice that a student is struggling with grammar and mechanics, and they're consistently getting below expectations or non-performance on the written communication, syntax, and mechanics criterion that is in almost all waypoint rubrics, consider contacting that student by using the Grammarly referral or the writing tutoring referral template in Signals. Also, if you know that students historically struggle on a particular course learning outcome or concept, you can create a custom template to further explain the concept, give students pointers, or direct them to support resources and send it to the students with low engagement levels or who are submitting their assignments late or who have missed assignments altogether. This is a perfect way to reinforce on a personal level with the student a concept that might have been touched on in your weekly announcement or in your written assignment feedback, and to have an open conversation about what other factors might be impacting the student's ability to complete their work. Full-time faculty, you can see which course learning outcomes students are struggling on by reviewing the Tableau Learning Outcomes dashboard. These dashboards allow you to do a deep dive into outcome assessment data in real time. Associate faculty, you can also leverage the waypoint rubrics to your advantage independently of your lead faculty. Most concepts that are assessed in the formative assignments are scaffolded throughout the course. Therefore, if you key in on a specific rubric concept on the scaffolded assignments, you can clearly see trends in student work. Conversely, if you notice that a student has been very receptive to your feedback and has made significant progress throughout the course, for example, you have seen them go from turning assignments that are consistently getting basic or below expectation to now getting proficient and distinguished, consider sending them a strong written assignment email. You may also want to send this email to students who have been consistently excelling in the course. Feedback does not have to always be critical. It can also be celebratory to let the students know that their hard work has not gone unnoticed.